Weather always has a big impact on vintage conditions and characteristics in Bordeaux. 2024 was characterized by a lot of rain. This is especially true in spring and early summer. In addition to producing cooler temperatures, the rains also contributed to problems with flowering, fruit set, and also mold and mildew. All these factors reduce yields for producers, and so many wineries are producing much less wine in the 2024 vintage. Fortunately, however, things became more dry and warm later in the summer, which helped to ripen some later ripening varieties like Cabernet Sauvignon. This is definitely going to be a vintage where it's difficult to generalize, and you need to assess the wines on a producer-by-producer basis. In many instances, it was the producers that were well-financed and able to battle the harsh conditions and fight some of the problems with mildew in the vineyard that fared the best. Also, producers that were ruthless in their sorting and selection process and used only the very best fruit for their wines. And also those producers who are willing to gamble a little bit and wait to harvest their fruit until very late in the season. Even though the wines will need to be assessed on a producer-by-producer basis, there are some high-level characterizations that apply to 2024 across the board, the first of which is lower alcohol by volume levels. Most of the wines from 2024 Bordeaux will have 14% alcohol by volume or less. These lower alcohol levels are primarily attributable to the fact that temperatures were cooler early in the summer, and so the grapes didn't get as ripe as they have been in warmer vintages such as 2022. In fact, some producers even needed to chaptalize or add sugar to their must pre-fermentation to ensure that their finished wine would have adequate alcohol by volume and body. A number of producers were also adding a higher percentage of press wines to their blend to help add structure and tannin and some richness to their blends. The cooler early summer temperatures also contributed to high acidity levels in the wine. And so these wines have abundant acidity and freshness. The best 2024 Bordeaux are definitely going to be characterized more by elegance and freshness, and certainly not by power and concentration, like some recent vintages. 2024 Bordeaux is definitely a vintage for drinkers. These are going to be wines that you'll be able to enjoy on the younger side. Everyone always likes to compare vintages, and the consensus seems to be that 2024 Bordeaux is definitely a level up from challenging vintages like 2013 and 2021. If I was going to have to try to identify some comps, I would probably go with 2002 for the left bank and 2004 for the right bank. In general, I think that the right bank had a slightly better vintage, but again, it's going to be important to choose wines on a producer-by-producer basis and not just generalize according to left bank or right bank. Bordeaux is certainly a very diverse region, and although the red wines justifiably get a lot of attention, it also produces many outstanding white wines and sweet wines, among other things. Oftentimes, when red wines struggle a little bit, white wines and sweet wines can be particularly strong. And so it was with 2024. This is going to be an excellent vintage for white wines in particular. The cooler early season temperatures help preserve acidity and freshness in the white wines, and then the warmer temperatures in July and August allowed grapes like Sauvignon Blanc and Semillon to achieve full ripeness. So if you're a white Bordeaux fan, you'll definitely want to keep an eye out for some of the white wines as they come out. 2024 should also be a strong vintage for sweet wine, although due to some of the problems with mildew, it may be a vintage that has extremely low production. One of the things that I appreciate about Bordeaux, and that I wish more regions around the world would embrace, is reducing prices when conditions so dictate. And certainly now is a time for producers to exercise restraint and use sharp pricing to help encourage consumers to purchase wines. And fortunately, it seems like Bordeaux has gotten the message, as pricing has been extremely reasonable relative to recent vintages, with many producers lowering their prices by almost 40% compared to the 2023 levels, which were in turn down substantially from the 2022 vintage.